Hello, 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 hello. We are live. We are live. Assuming everybody can hear and see us. I can see there's a few people in the chat.
Yep.
Deb, I can see. Julia, I can see.
Julia, hi Julia, hi Deb. Can you hear us
Hello,
okay?
everyone. Just give us a yes in the comments, please, if we're coming across loud and clear. And we will probably be quite loud. I don't know how clear we'll be to menopausal women. We might not be that clear.
True.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's lovely to see some people in the chat already, and hopefully a few more will join us as well. I can see 3 people watching at the moment. So
Good start.
Tracey's doing a really good job of typing in the chat at the same time. I can't do that. I'm rubbish at multitasking.
I can type really fast, but badly. It's a useful talent because everybody can understand it anyway.
Well, I can type really fast. I just can't type and think and talk all at the same time. So, so welcome everybody. And I think many of you are Tracey's audience. So thank you so much for showing up tonight. Just to give you a bit of an introduction to me. I'm Bev. I am a very tiny little YouTube channel at the minute and trying to grow. Looking to people like Tracey to give me the inspiration and the motivation to keep going, because it can sometimes be a little bit of a hard slog. My channel is very different to Tracey's. I'm not into crafting yet, although I am starting to feel a little bit more inspired. My channel really is more about the Gen X age group, Gen X women, supporting us to live the best next chapter of our lives, because I'm 100% a believer in the fact that this is the best chapter, not just the next chapter. I think we spend an awful lot of time in our earlier adult years trying to fit in and do the right thing and be seen to be doing all the things right. And then I think we get to midlife and onwards, and we kind of say, sod you lot, I'm going to do things my way from now on. And I think YouTube has kind of given us the forum, I think, to show up as ourselves. So thank you so much. The chat is going nuts. So hello everybody. I can see who can I see here? I can see my brother. You could be the only man on here, Brian.
Happy birthday. Hello, Brian.
Brian James Photography. He is my lovely brother. And if we can just give him a bit of a happy birthday, belated happy birthday. It was his birthday yesterday. And Brian, your card honestly is on its way. I'm just not great at getting them out on the right time. So we've got Never Perfect Resin or Never Perfect Resin?
Never Perfect Resin is Carolyn.
Never Perfect Resin. Hi, Carolyn. And we've got All Things Pink and Possible. Hello, All Things Pink and Possible. You subscribed to me the other day. Thank you very much for that. Who else have we got?
I've just realised that I'm coming up as my other YouTube channel on some of this rather than mini scenes. Oh well.
Are you? Depends what you're logged in as, I guess. Who else have we got? I can see Julia and Deb and Tracey. Hello, Tracey.
Hello, Tracey.
Hello, everyone. Right, so we don't really... Oh, have you... I've just knocked my headphone wire. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, so we have no real agenda for this live. Just to give you a little bit of a heads up on why I wanted to do this, and I've called it sort of a spotlight on Gen X creators. I've discovered in the last few weeks this wonderful community of Gen X and baby boomer creators on YouTube that I didn't know existed. And actually, we were just talking about this before we hit the live button, weren't we, Tracey? This idea that we didn't think they existed out there, but obviously YouTube wasn't showing them to us. So I really want to give put a spotlight, I guess, on some of the creators that I've come across who have inspired me. And Tracey, you are one of them. You've had this fabulous sort of growth. Tell us a little bit about your YouTube journey. So why YouTube? And what would you say were the drivers for you starting your YouTube channel?
Well, I had been working for the same company for 37 years, and they decided to make some redundancies, and unfortunately I fell by the wayside. So I went freelance doing what I was doing before for a bit, and that was mostly live online training at this point, because I was a learning and development specialist. Anyway, we then had COVID and nobody could do training courses, so that kind of wasn't working. But I'd also been helping out part-time at the British Motor Museum. So when COVID was over, I started doing more of that, which, trust me, it's not for the money, it's for the love of the cars. But I'd also been watching, especially during COVID, an awful lot of YouTubers. And there was some that had really inspired me, because I'd looked at the crafts that they were doing and thought, I can do that, or I'd like to try to do that. And why not point a camera at it while I'm doing it? And that's kind of where it started. I'd already got a channel that I'd put a couple of videos on, but they were mostly just to show people things that I was making because they might want to buy them on eBay. That was all. So it wasn't proper intentional videos. And that went back months and months and months. So I put my first video on, it's just under 2 years ago now, with the intention of actually, I might have a go at this and do proper tutorials and things. And it's just taken off from there. I was surprised how much it took off, really. I had a lot of support from a lot of people, half of whom seem to be in chat. Thank you, everyone. And it's just kind of snowballed and gone crazy. And I've moved on from standing with my resin and a torch and my phone sellotaped and rubber banded to a kitchen cupboard door handle over the worktop in my kitchen to this, which you see now. And I've got lights and cameras and, well, not cameras, phones.
Yeah.
So it's taken me by surprise, really. It's just totally snowballed, but that was the backdrop to it. I've always been an obsessive crafter. I guess all crafters dream of one day making a living crafting, and hand on heart, most of us know that doesn't work that way. But pointing a camera at it, there's a lot of potential.
So were you a YouTube watcher before you became a creator? Was it a platform that you spent a lot of time on?
Strangely not. It was during lockdown and we were all bored that I started really watching it. If I wanted to know how to do something, I'd look it up on YouTube, how to wire up a plug or whatever. Maybe not that, but you know what I mean. I'd look things up on YouTube to see how to do them. And I'd started seeing, funnies to watch and things like that. And then I started looking up different crafts because I was a bit bored, and that's kind of when it started. And now it's just, even if there is stuff on telly, I'll be sat watching whatever's on YouTube. It's contagious.
Yeah, you've built a really lovely community, haven't you? And we can see, a lot of your community are here. If you were going to give somebody some tips around starting a YouTube channel, just go back to your very early days when you were sellotaping cameras and phones to the underside of kitchen cupboards. What would you tell them?
It needn't be complicated. Just have a go. I mean, my very first video, it's still on my channel. My first few, those of you who follow my channel, you lot in chat, you'll probably know the ones I mean. I did some bookmarks with leaves in, and I did some little necklaces with ultraviolet curing resin, and just some glitter. So really, really simple projects with my phone, sellotaped to the bottom of the kitchen cupboard, no lights. As I've got a torch. It couldn't have been more simple. I think we watch YouTube and we think, oh, I've got to get one of those microphones. I've got to get this light. I've got to get that. I've got to have a fancy camera. No, seriously, do you want to see what I'm still filming with now? This smartphone. So I think that's the message. Just jump in and have a go, because with the very, very bare minimum kit you've got, you can actually do it. You don't even need a computer. It's easier to edit your films on a bigger screen, so that does make life easier. But I think actually some of you in the chat here, I think some of you are actually editing your videos on your phone. Do you want to tell us? Are you actually doing your editing on your phones as well as filming? Because I know quite a few of you in this chat have got channels.
Yeah, Deb said she's afraid of the editing part, and I totally get that. I think as we get older, we do have this almost sort of fear of anything techie and anything that we're not sure
Yeah.
about. And I actually love it now. I dive into all
Mhm.
the tech, and I for me, it's
Like
keeping the little grey cells kind of going. But
yeah,
I think there is the tech issue is often the hurdle and the barrier, isn't it?
it is, and I don't think it needs to be. I'm just looking at chat here. We've got people with iPads and phones. We tend to have this, Carolyn, swimming on a phone, editing on a computer. Yeah, that's what I do. We've all got some sort of tech about our person nowadays. Pretty much everybody's got a smartphone. It doesn't even need to be a new one. I've got a friend who's filming on an iPhone 6, and it's fine. And you can have the editing software on there. Now, as regards editing being a bit scary, the trick is keep it simple. You see people, I'll use an example that I know all these people here will know. Wendy from Toonpish Crafts. If you watch her videos, her editing is just beautiful. She does all fancy graphics and does a voiceover afterwards, and it's an absolute joy to watch. But then you get other people's videos. I'm sure most of you will know. Let's use Daniel Cooper as an example. Most of his craft videos are just camera up here. Actually, there's my thing for my camera. Camera up here, point the camera straight down. All you need is one of them arm things with a grabby doobry on the end, or sellotape. And then his editing, he literally just cuts out the dead bits. And that seems to be it. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be complicated. And also the tide is turning. People aren't necessarily looking for that bam, bam, bam. They call it retention editing, where everything's quick fire, and we're not all Mr. Beast. If anybody doesn't know who he is, look him up.
No, and who would want to be really? It's not our
Well,
demographic at all, is it?
exactly. He's a special thing, and it's blooming wonderful if that floats your boat. Brilliant. But the sort of things, the topics, particularly that, let's say, a lot of my friends in chat here, doing crafts and things, we're mostly ladies of a certain age. That sort of thing, you can switch the telly on and get that anytime. What we're looking for is something where we can really sit down, a cup of tea, enjoy watching something, learn something from it, and it doesn't need to be bam, 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 bam. So that's my message. Keep it simple, and also, if you can edit on a computer, like a laptop or a desktop, or something bigger like an iPad or whatever, then do, because it's just easier. You can see what you're doing, and you can get your cuts in the right places far easier if you're using a mouse and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
I struggle on
don't
my
panic.
phone. I do shorts on my
Mm,
phone. I don't do many shorts actually, but if I do shorts or reels, I do them on my phone. But to be honest, I'm like this, trying to
oh
see
yeah,
it because
yeah.
it's not big enough, so I'm much better on the computer.
Well, I've gone from an iPhone Mini. I was filming until recently on an iPhone Mini 13. I've still got it because the camera on it's really good, so I do still use it. So sometimes you'll see I've got two different camera angles. Usually that's my old phone doing the other one, but I've gone to the normal size one this time because I'm starting, as I have to start doing this now a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
tell me
yeah,
about when you started your channel and you
mm,
were looking for, as I think we all do, the how-to videos, how-to
yeah.
YouTube. Um,
I,
we can we can turn we can turn, and yeah, but they do me as well. We turn on YouTube, we look for how to do
mm,
YouTube, and we get all of the likes of Think Media and Creator Booth and all of those really good
yeah,
channels. I have to say, I'm not going to knock them because I think they give some really, really interesting
they
information,
do.
and they've been doing it a long time and they know their stuff. But I know for me, that's where I was going for all of my advice and help and learning. And you mentioned just a few minutes ago about the change in trend around retention
Mm,
editing and all the quick cuts and things like that.
yeah,
And I'd love to know your thoughts on how we as Gen X YouTubers are different, why we need perhaps a different outlook than some of the big training
mm.
companies are giving us.
I
I
think
don't know if I articulated that question very well.
I think I know what you mean. Because I obviously I watch all those as well. There are some that particularly resonated with me, and others I thought, oh, this is for people who want to be Mr. Beast, not for me. you know. Um, So I've latched onto a few that tend to keep things simple and just talk common sense. vidIQ, the guy who presents that, some of his stuff's relevant to everybody, and he's very good at keeping us up to date on what the trends are and anything new that YouTube are doing. So I watch him. I also watch Nate Black. Now, he doesn't really talk about the tech at all. He just talks about how to engage an audience.
Howdy, howdy.
And yeah, howdy indeed. Now he's I like him because although he's very quick fire, he's young, he's very out there, so it probably could normally be a bit too much for me. I find that because what he's talking about is people, behaviours, what interests people, how to catch their attention and all that sort of thing, because it's about people rather than gadgetry and flashy effects and anything too heavy duty. I think it kind of resonates with me, and that's what I was looking for. So I've started to find people who just talk sense. Yes, vidIQ, that's the one who's talking about CapCut. Yeah, CapCut's I found to be the easiest video editing, folks. I'm just seeing what they're saying in chat. But I think the other thing is I found people doing tutorials on editing that keep it very simple and build it up as well. Things at the slower paced. But I think you're absolutely right. The people like Think Media, they're not talking to me. They're fascinating. I mean, I've gained a lot of value from watching their channel, absolutely. And I would certainly encourage people to give them a look. But it's not talking to me. You know, it's not. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm just filming things down here from here with a phone. You know, this isn't what I need to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's finding the ones that work for you, I think.
I think for me, they're missing a little bit of what our generation wants in a video. If I look at my brother's channel, if you're into photography or if you want sort of photography tips, go and check out his channel. A lot of what you do, Brian, is literally just sitting. He does a lot of traveling in his caravan with my lovely sister-in-law, or he's in the car, or he's out, you know, in a setting where he's just literally talking to the camera and actually does minimal editing. And he's got, I think he's just hit 12,000 subscribers in the last month or so. So congratulations, Brian. I'm catching you up. I'm only about 11,500 to go, but I'm getting there. But it's all very based. It's all very unedited, and I'm saying this as a compliment and not in any way as a criticism. It's very raw in a lot of ways. He does edit. I know he does edit, but it's very much just conversational. It's like him talking to the camera. And I don't know if anybody watches Wayne. Wayne's, oh gosh, what's his channel? I think he's just changed the name. It was Wayne's Leap Year, but I think he's just changed it to something else. And he's mastered the art. It's only a small channel, but he's mastered the art of talking to you on the other side of the camera. And it's like he might have hundreds of people viewing that video, but it's like he's talking just to you. And I think that's what we as kind of older consumers and creators on YouTube want. We want that personality, we want that connection, and we want that feeling like we're in a community, not a TV show. And I know I definitely made this mistake in, you know, earlier on when I was starting my channel. If you ever look back at some of my videos, I'm an educator. That's what I do. You said you know you're a learning and development background. So was I. And I think sometimes it's easy to come in and deliver a video like a presenter, and I don't think that's what we necessarily want. I think we want almost to be feeling like you're sat talking to somebody in a cafe, you know, just having a conversation. I would love to know in the chat, what do you guys like from, you know, what is it about a channel that attracts you? Whether that's sort of the person, do you like that fast editing, or do you prefer the more relaxed style? Just let us know in the chat what you like. I'm just going to go back and let's have a read of some of these comments because they're flying past a bit quick and I'm rubbish at multitasking. If I go right back to the start, we'll be here for a long time. Let's see what else we've got. Deborah's asking, can you add these people as links? I assume you're meaning like Think Media and Nate Black and all of those. Yes, I will do. We'll put the links to their channels in the chat, in the description when we're done. Jill is saying she's fearful about the editing too, but going to dive in. One thing I would say, in fact, let me just show this. One thing I would say about editing is that it gets easier and easier every year because the software that they're bringing out takes so much of the job away from you, and AI is coming in and making it so much easier to like get your sound right, get your colors right. It's so much easier now than it probably ever was. I don't think I could ever go and do like Premiere Pro or any of those sort of more professional editing softwares.
I tell you what, CapCut is awesome. I'm loving it. I used to use iMovie, and I was getting frustrated that there was things I couldn't do. So anyway, I got CapCut, liked it so much, got the pro version, but I can make myself look like I've got makeup on. People say, "Aren't your eyelashes lovely?" No,
I'm getting. I haven't found that one yet. You mentioned that the other day. I need to find that. Pink Impossible. Summer channels are just trying to market to those who want to try and grow a channel overnight. And I think sometimes that's, it is such a misleading message. I think there are channels that can grow very, very quickly, but they are not the norm. They're not the norm.
No. I mean, I monetize very quickly for a craft channel, but thanks to a lot of support and help from people. But it took 4 months, and that is quite quick for a small, especially a weird little niche like resin craft. But I think there are still niches that will just go kaboom. But I know so many people, youngsters, who are thinking they're going to explode with a gaming channel. But you're one of hundreds of thousands of gaming channels. You know, it just isn't that simple anymore. I've just put my foot on a resin thing. I hope it was cured.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people teaching. I just find it really confusing as well. I find a lot of the advice that you get when you're hunting for how to grow on YouTube is just really contradictory. So if you're not careful, you can end up wrapping yourself up in knots trying to do this and do that and check this and check that and don't listen to that, but do this. And it can be overwhelming.
This is why I've narrowed it down to just those few, because there's such a wealth of them out there. There's these few gurus that actually speak my language, you know, and I think that they're more on my wavelength, and I'll watch those because they won't scare me or confuse me. That's largely it, because I think we can watch too much of that. It's like they say, stop thinking, stop researching, just dive in and do it. There's a huge amount to be said for that, because you can get completely boggled and overloaded with all this information. And as you say, Bev, it can really conflict as well. I've got pages and pages of notes, don't even know where they are.
Yeah.
I've not referred back to any of them. So
it's that procrastinating, isn't it? We get into this procrastinating stage where we actually think we're doing something. We think we're making progress, but we've never actually pressed record on the video recorder, and we've never actually pressed upload onto the channel, but we're doing loads of stuff.
The best learning is just looking up things like, how do I actually upload onto YouTube? What buttons do I press? And you know, what button on my phone do I press, and what settings have I got to put it on to film it quite clearly and nicely, and how do I get it onto my laptop off my phone? I mean, once you've found yourself a tutorial on how to do that, or somebody can tell you how to do it, and then that's really all you need. Because if you put it on and then, like 2 months later, you think, oh, I should have thought more about the title or the thumbnail or the description, you can go back and change it. And probably nobody's seen it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
And if you're going to mess up in your early videos, it's great because you haven't got anybody watching them anyway. It's annoying when you get to a year and a bit in and you think your videos look quite good and still no buggers watching them. But apart from that, it's a good thing.
But that's how you learn, and you learn by making mistakes. It's like I always say to people, if some caveman didn't stick his hand in a fire and go, ouch, that hurts, at some point, we'd have all burnt to death by now.
Yeah,
you know, we've got to learn somehow, haven't we? And getting stuck in.
Do you know one of the best?
Be ready.
Say again, love. Missed
So
that
we'll
one.
never actually be ready. If you wait till you're ready, you won't
You're
be.
right.
You just
One of the
start
things that I had to
to
change,
do it.
I created this sort of model for myself that I call 3 Cs. So because I was finding that I wasn't creating much, but I was consuming loads. So now I have 3 Cs. I divide my time up so I consume some because I actually quite like watching YouTube rather than television. Not for learning, but just because I quite enjoy the platform. So I split my consumption in two. I'll either consume for pleasure or I'll consume for learning, and I put time limits
Yeah.
on it. And then the second C is content and actually creation, creating content. And then the third C is actually community and comments. Because one thing I realized a couple of probably really recently, probably only a few weeks ago, is that I watch loads and loads of people's content and I love it, but I very rarely comment on other people's content. So why would I expect people to comment on mine if I'm not commenting on theirs? And I wasn't really growing a community. And yet in the last few weeks since I've started commenting and, remembering that the people on the other side of the screen are real people. And I think there was maybe an element of, I was worried about bots and trolls and people just being mean. The majority of people aren't really, are they? But I
No.
don't think, I know this is going to sound a bit daft, but I don't think I'd really emotionally made the connection between the fact that when I'm commenting on somebody's video, there's a real person that created that, just a normal person trying to do their best on YouTube. That was a big, it sounds bizarre when I say, but it was a big mind shift for me. So now I do comment on other people.
I think a lot people have this misconception that we're all some sort of glam celebrities, and we're actually just people in our spare bedroom. You're in your spare bedroom as well, aren't you, Bev?
I am.
I'm in my. This is my spare bedroom. I've moved from the small one to the slightly bigger one. They think we're all some sort of, some fancy. We've got all this. We're privileged. We've got all this fancy gear, and no, we've worked damned hard to get the bit of gear we've got, and half the time we haven't actually got any, and we are in our spare bedrooms.
And I think that's
And
another thing, that stops people from creating, is I think they worry that, I don't have, my house isn't beautiful and I haven't got my lipstick on or whatever. And I don't think anybody cares that much really, do they? I'm just
no,
going to have
they
another look back
don't.
through these comments. Sorry, Tracey, you go on while I'm looking.
Okay. No, I think you're absolutely right about the community thing. I'm spending a lot of time just hangering. I've invented a word. Hanging around in Facebook groups, all these resin for beginners and things like that. Because in every beginner group, you need someone who's perhaps a little bit more experienced. I'm never going to be an expert, I know, but a little bit more experienced, because I'll see a question and think, oh, I can help with that, and I'll answer it. And people get to know your name, so there is a side effect of this. That you do start, people latch onto you. It's good for your channel if people see you being active. But my primary objective for doing that and my channel was just to show people how to do stuff and help people, and but actually being proactively helpful and nice and mixing a bit, and actually promotes your channel as well. Who said green screen? Nobody can see your background. Yeah, you can do that in your editing software, Deb, don't worry.
Yeah.
This is
To
real.
be honest, I would rather see a real messy background than an artificial pretend one, if I'm honest. It's just me. So,
I don't want to see the floor in here though, trust me.
some of these. So, never perfect resin. I will never be a tech master with editing. I missed that boat. Do you know what? My eyesight's so rubbish. Bear with me. I missed that boat in school and never worked in a computer-oriented environment. So very much rely on my presence, human knowledge, etc. I think we do get worried about tech. Your past experience isn't an indicator of what you can learn in the future. So see it, experiment and play would be my best advice, and not worry too much that it might be a bit difficult, because actually it's little incremental stages. But as Tracey said earlier, I don't think you need to be a tech master. I think you can
No,
do
you don't. I mean, I
minimal.
tell you my tech background. When I was in school in the upper sixth form, so I was 18, about to leave school, a computer appeared. It was one of them Spectrum things, and it was locked in the centre it was our old gym at the school, at the high school. It was locked right in the middle, and there was like a guy who looked like a security guard outside the door, and we weren't allowed to touch it. That's me and computers at school. I thought the
Oh,
photocopier was awesome.
well, I'll tell you, I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember this, but I used to be a typist for the Air Force when I very first joined the MOD, and we had the Gestetner machine, and you used to type in this like double skin thing, then you have to wind it round to make photocopies because we didn't have a photocopier.
You see, they wouldn't,
Another great
they wouldn't to type.
Another great story. I remember when I was doing my typing exams when I was quite young. I'm 58 now, so we are going back quite a long time. And I had to go back because we'd just got word processors. They didn't really have a screen. You had like a one line of text. And then we moved to a Windows thing and we had a mouse. And I remember going to this training course, and we all sat behind these little computer tables, and the person at the front, the teacher at the front, was teaching us. And she said, okay, you need to click your mouse on something on the screen. And we all clicked our mouse, and one lady picked up a mouse and was trying to put the mouse onto the screen like this. And we burst out laughing that it was new to us. She didn't know. And we were using terminology she didn't know. She was an older lady. She was probably my age actually now, but she was an older lady then. And she just, I mean, we were killing ourselves laughing at her, bless her. But you learn these things incrementally, don't you? And it doesn't matter if you mess up.
My first computer's contact was when I started work at the firm I worked at right through to when I retired. So we're talking the late 80s, and the computers were, these massive things. The monitors were, and the screens, I thought they were really modern because they got green and red text. Very modern. Anyway, the mouse appeared, and I was like, "What's this?" And it had got a ball in the bottom. Do you remember mice with a ball in the bottom? And in our store cupboard, where all the stationery and the pots of pens and things were, we'd also got some wipes labelled mouse ball cleaner. And that just, I think it was just me. Nobody else seemed to think that was funny, but I thought it was hilarious. My mouse doesn't got a ball. No.
It's tickled me. What else have we got here? Let's have a look. Brad saying, I watch some big names in my field. I'm assuming that's photography, who I really admire. I now know most of them, and they are all just normal people, often as much awe of me as I am. And that's so interesting, isn't it? That's such a good point, because we never see ourselves the way other people see us. I spent the last 6 years or so delivering menopause training to businesses, and I had a Facebook group with about 1,500 women in it. And I remember being on a coaching course, and one of the women from my Facebook group was in there, which was quite bizarre. There was 11 of us on this course, the whole of the world, and she was on the same course. Just bizarre. We'd never met before. And she said, "Oh, I feel a bit starstruck." And I was so embarrassed. I was so it was like, that's nuts. That feels really weird. But to her, because I had this group and I was doing all this sort of training and working with big companies, I somehow, in her mind, I was on this sort of pedestal, which I have to say was incredibly embarrassing and weird. But yeah, I think you're right. I think people do kind of, we I don't even know if this is a word, but we pedestalize people. I'm making that one up.
It's a good
word. If
it's
not a word, it's a good one, isn't it?
We know what you mean.
Yeah. Let's have a look. What have we got? Julie's saying we had those type of copiers. Oh God, yeah, they were so funny. Do I tell you a funny story about? Do you remember when you used to? You might remember. You used to have carbon copies. So if you were typing something, you needed a copy. You type the top copy, put a sheet of carbon paper in, and you'd have a copy underneath. Well, I had to do this. I was about 22, so I was quite naive, and I had to type this letter for my boss, which was a reference for somebody that worked in the post room. And the what I was reading, the transcript I was reading from, I thought it says John has worked. John. No, it did say John works in the post room, but for some reason I didn't read his writing right, and I typed John once and then realized it was wrong. So I took it out on the top copy, but I forgot to take it out on the bottom copy. And once overwritten works. I'm going to leave it to your imagination to guess what that word came out as. Beautifully.
That's my out of gutter.
It was. That's exactly the word. And I didn't realise. I gave it to my boss and he just came back into the typing pool because we worked at a typing pool. He said, Bev, I have a question for you. He said, how do you know John that well? So if anybody's wondering what I'm talking about, you're going to have to try and work it out for yourself.
All points to him for the wit of response there. That's good.
Yes, we had those type of copiers. So never perfect resin. I love your answer to this. I never took computer courses or IT, was only just getting big when I was at university. I was like you, Tracey. We had one computer for the whole of the school. I think we were the first year that had a computer, and it was just
well, I never got near it. It was only the people doing science that got near that, and I was doing art and English. So I wasn't allowed.
IBM.
I tried to learn. I did try to learn to type. I tried to learn to type when we were picking all our options and things. I said I'd like to learn to type. I just think that would be a really useful thing to be able to do. And my school weren't very. It was the most amazing school, I have to say. I did so well out of that school, but this was the funniest thing with hindsight. They said to me, why do you want to learn to type? You don't want to be a secretary, do you? And they obviously didn't see computers coming, did they? Anyway, they taught me into doing Latin instead because it would be more useful.
Yeah.
I'm very good at
How many times have you used that?
Well, there's a lot. I tell you what, there's a lot of ancient Romans that come to the museum. It's really useful.
Just a lot of relics. I must admit, I was very similar, actually. I wanted to do typing. I thought it would be a useful skill. And they said, no, you can learn typing in 6 weeks. Take history. So I did take history and I got a U, unclassified. I didn't even, it was absolutely awful. And then I spent the first 3 years of my career as a typist in the MOD. I don't know what IBM Selectric. I don't think I've come across that. I do remember my first word processor was called a Word Star, if I remember rightly.
Oh, I remember Word Stars. Yes.
And I remember my first electric typewriter having like a golf ball that used to whiz around really quickly, and you'd type, and this golf ball would be going around on the inside. Do you remember those?
I remember the first time we actually got a computer at home would have been late 90s. And we got involved in helping to run a classic car club locally. And we seemed to be the only ones who got the budget to buy a computer. And it had got I think it had got 2 gigs of RAM. No. 2 gig hard drive. No. I'm telling you what, my technology, I'm all over the place. It got about 1/millionth of what my phone has now got. And it had got one of those modems that went...
Yeah. Oh God, do you remember dial-up? When dial-up first came in. This is brilliant. My brother bought a
2 gigabyte hard drive.
Yeah, hard drive. My brother bought a camera. He was talking about this on his channel the other day. He bought a camera. Was it about 15 years old, I think you said, Brian? And it came with an SD card. And I think, was it 240 meg or something? It was tiny. I can't remember. Drop it in the chat, Brian, because I can't remember exactly what you said. But this SD card that was in it was so tiny, you would barely get one JPEG on it.
I'm thinking that even my phone's got 512 gigs of RAM in it, gigs of memory. Memory? It's not RAM, is it? It's memory. Thing. It's got 512 of those thingies anyway.
Right, so try giving a teenager a telephone with a dial on it.
They won't know what it is.
Hilarious.
They wouldn't know what it was.
I can still remember. It's funny what you remember. I can still remember our home telephone number. I don't remember telephone numbers anymore because now we've got mobile phones. We don't need to. But I can still remember our telephone number from when we were kids.
I still do because my mum still lives there. They moved in there 2 years before I was born when they got married, and she still lives there now, and it's still the same phone number. So.
A 4 gig. It was a bit bigger than I thought. 4 gig SIM card. SD card. It was in there.
That's still pretty small, isn't it?
So When we were having our pre-live chat, we did a test the other day because you probably, if you saw the trailer for this, you'd have seen that we were like two middle-aged women trying to figure out how to go live on both channels. We didn't figure it out, hence why we're only on one channel. If anybody knows, by the way, how to go live onto two channels with two different people's channels, on StreamYard, let me know, because I'm sure there must be a way to do it, but we couldn't.
We'll work it out. Yeah.
We were also talking, which I thought was fascinating, about some of the favourite weird YouTube channels that we follow. I know you said you quite like watching some bloke wash his patio down.
Yeah.
How a
He's
wash
a professional patio jet washer. It's just really odd. I did well. Most of this lot will remember, actually, because I think most of you replied. Do you remember about a few months ago? I asked what you all watch on YouTube, and there's some really strange stuff. Scarily large amount of us were into watching serial killers. Disturband's my favourite creator on that topic. Yeah. But there was a lot of us were into that. That was the top answer. Then supernatural came up a lot. Lots of other crafts, of course. But then we got down to strange things like hoof trimming for cows.
Yeah, and I said I'd
Well,
watched that and I
sometimes-
really loved it. There's something
Yeah,
therapeutic when
You're
you
not
watch
the only
it.
weird ones.
If you haven't watched it, there's a cow farmer, or rather a cow. Well, I guess he's like a nail technician for cows, but he goes around and he literally trims the hooves, and he digs out. It looks like it must be so painful because he's like digging out the hooves and cutting all of the nail. But it's like therapy. I don't know. It's a bit
Pimple
like
popping.
like pimple popping. It's
Yeah, that's a
so
thing.
therapeutic.
It
So
is.
we've
There's
got
something's just I watched
true
this weird
crime.
guy, this crazy guy. He's absolutely lovely. Who comments on things like tattoo fails. And he's just hilarious. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to do a thing on them. So yeah, true crime was at Pink. That came out right top of our list. I think that's a
Yeah.
very popular one. But at some point, I'm going to do a bit of investigating and do like my own reaction videos to the stuff you lot are watching.
I've got to pull this one up. Hang on a minute.
Nice one, Julia.
I watched this one guy that saved a lobster from the grocery store and
Oh,
wrapped it. I don't know
yeah,
what
we're not
that
sure what that
means.
word is, Julia. She's typing too fast, like me.
Here and now lives. I don't know what word it is. I'm going to say saved him.
Probably.
I'm sure it's not saved, but and now he
No.
lives in his home with a humongous.
Yeah.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant.
Did anybody watch that squirrel? There's a squirrel called Little Thumbelina Squirrel. Little Thumbelina Girl. That's it. Rehabbed. Oh, she meant rehabbed.
Oh,
Yeah.
rehabbed.
Yeah, there's a little squirrel. I'm getting worried about that squirrel. It's so overweight now, but it must be quite old. But it was rescued as a little baby. You know, they look like a maggot, really. Baby squirrels do, don't they, when they're tiny? And yeah, it's now a very fat, very spoilt squirrel, and they've got a YouTube channel for it. There's a guy who's obsessed with his cat as well, Kurt the cat, that I'm quite addicted to. Oh, you know about Thumbelina? Yeah.
I really never perfect resin. I really enjoy watching weird pet videos and skunks. That's so random.
Oh, Carolyn, do you watch my random stuff channel? Or was it you that said that my little creatures have got far too many legs? Bev probably hasn't spotted this yet. I've recently started keeping what you and I would probably call woodlice. Did you know you can
like
get
little tiny miniature armadillos?
Yeah, you can, you lift up a bit of rotting wood in your garden or a flower pot and they'll go running out in all directions, those little things. And did you know you can get fancy ones? And some of them you can pay up to £100 for a woodlouse. I haven't, needless to say.
It is funny, isn't it, how we take things for granted. I've got a friend who's Australian. She's lived in the UK for quite some time, but she's in the middle of a city. And she posted on a WhatsApp group a picture of something. And she said, I've just seen this in the road. I have no idea what it is. It looks like a porcupine. Can somebody tell me what it is? We're like, that's a hedgehog. She'd never seen a
Oh.
hedgehog. But, you know, somebody was talking about paddy melons the other day, and I'd never seen a paddy melon. Do you know what a paddy melon is?
No.
Here's a question. What is a paddy melon? And no looking it up on Google either. See if anybody knows in the
Well,
comments what a paddy
this
melon is.
this lot are from all over the world, so somebody might know.
Let's see. Let's see if anybody knows what a paddy melon is. I only found out
Yeah.
quite recently because I absolutely love watching like van life channels.
Yeah.
No, it's not a potato, but good guess. And I love watching. There's an Aussie guy called Max and his dog Oki, and I just love his channel. And he's always got paddy melons in his garden. That might give you an indication.
Have you come across
Paddy
Sean the
squash.
Sheep Man? Sean the Sheep
No,
Man.
no.
He's a proper farmer, and he's got several sheepdogs. And there's bits of film of them, these dogs doing sheepdog things, are just amazing. But you get bits of his life as well. I think they've been having IVF. The wife's been having IVF and everything. But just the things he does with these sheepdogs is incredible.
Yeah,
Nick
brilliant.
Clark.
Okay, I'll let you out your misery. So you've got
Go on.
kangaroos, and then just a bit smaller than kangaroos, you've got wallabies. And
Yeah.
then a bit smaller than wallabies with a much wider, fatter backside, you've got paddy melons. And then much smaller, you've got quokkas.
I need
Quokkas.
those.
Look
Sugar
at
gliders
quokkas.
as well.
They are so cute. Quokkas are like little ones, and then paddy melons are a bit bigger. And then
Never heard of
wallabies.
those.
Yeah.
I need those.
Go and look
Don't
them
tell
up.
Mark.
I tell you what, I would have a quokka. I'd definitely have a quokka as a pet.
I'd
They're
like a wombat,
gorgeous.
but they make a mess of your garden apparently, and they're a bit big. Gotta
So
stick to
I
guinea
watch.
pigs.
Well, we got Julia said I watch a girl that is a traveling sheep shearer.
Watching sheep being sheared is incredible, actually. You can't believe that they can do it.
They're so quick as well, aren't they? There's has anybody? I don't know if he's on YouTube, but he's definitely on Instagram. There's a guy called the Kenyan pig farmer. Has anybody come across the Kenyan pig farmer?
No.
Oh, he's brilliant. He keeps his I think well, he's obviously Kenyan, isn't he? I was going to say I think he's from Kenya, but he calls himself the Kenyan pig farmer, so I'm guessing he is. But he has all these little baby pigs, and it's just lovely. He was featured on the news in the UK, and I think his channel skyrocketed. He's on Instagram. I don't know if he's on YouTube.
Really, Tim, because I'd love a capybara.
What's it? Well, I don't know what those are.
They look like giant guinea pigs. They're about the size of a small Labrador.
Who says YouTube isn't educational? You know, you've learned about quokkas and capybaras. Absolutely amazing. We're sort of rambling now, and it's lovely having this chit chat. And we haven't really. I did say there was no agenda for this; it was just a chit chat. Tell us about your membership. Tell us about your membership for your craft group.
Memberships I've found. It's not. I'm going to demold something while we're here. Why not? It's a frog. Memberships have turned out to be a strange thing. I thought members would only join your channel for what they could get out of it, you know, freebies, perks. There's a YouTuber that says, "Oh yeah, join my channel. We have a load of fun over there." And you think, what have I got to do then to have a membership thing? Have I got to do loads of stuff? It turns out that most members just join. Frog. Just thought you'd like to see that. Whoops, where's my camera? There it is. Frog. Sorry. Most people seem to just join because they want to feel part of it and to just sort of help me out a bit and just and as much as anything for me, it's the moral support. I think as much as anything, it's not so much just the monetary thing, because I mean that obviously helps, but it's not a big money spinner. It's the fact that people think enough of what I'm doing to want to chip in a little bit. And I think that just means so much to me. So what I've done is I've put together like a little pack of things like some colouring pages. There's discounts in my store for the top tier of memberships. And ideally very, very occasional. Well, some of this lot are my members. They'll tell me they'll probably confirm this. How many members videos have I done? None. Oh no, 2. I think I've done 2, but they're not really. I haven't done lives. I do read. I tend to set up my videos nowadays so that they go live. I've got one that's going out tonight, for example, at 9 o'clock, and my members have been able to see it since I uploaded it yesterday. So I do little things like that, but I always feel like I don't do enough. But there you go. As you can see, what Deb said, join memberships occasionally to support the person, and occasionally do a super thanks. Those sort of things. That seems to be the motivation for people. It's not what they can get out of it. It's more of a show of appreciation and feeling part of it. And honestly, what it means to me, I think I've got 22 members now, and I'm still sort of thinking, why? Why do you like me? It's just so nice. But that counterbalances the trolls and the idiots that you get. You know, it makes you feel warm and fuzzy.
Do you get many trolls in the comments? I haven't made it yet. I've not had many trolls. Although when I put out the community post to say we were doing this and did anybody want to join us, some person just went no. I said, okay. But why bother taking the time to say no? Doesn't make sense.
It's a comment, and that counts as an interaction. So yay, even if it's negative.
That's certainly doing me a favour. No, I can see we've got Tim, by the way. Hi, Tim, and Tina H. Hello, my lovely Tina H is on here as well. I'm sure we've missed
the troll thing. It used to upset me. It used to really upset me. I think I knew it would happen, but I thought on something as harmless as a little craft channel run by a middle-aged woman, perhaps it probably wouldn't, but it did. But what I've done, someone once told me it's very simple. Ignore it and hit the hide button. Done. And the other thing I've done is bye, Leslie. And the other thing I've done is I've been quite vigilant with in the settings. If you go into your channel settings, you can in the upload defaults and all that bit, there's a section for where you can hide keywords. So I put in a whole load of swear words, and anything else that kept reoccurring that was really annoying me or upsetting me. If it was a word that I could block, so it blocked the whole post, the whole comment, I put it in there. So I've got quite a list now, and you know what? It's got rid of them all. I get some that sometimes will come up in my to review, comments to review. Does it say held for review, doesn't it? Yeah. And I'll look at them and think, oh, no, that's okay, and just let it through. But a lot of it just blocks it out. So I don't think I've actually had a trolley comment for, it's probably months now.
I think that would put a lot of people off, and I'm quite expecting them to come.
Pink's approach to this.
Yeah, I'm quite expecting them to come, but
they will, because the world, about 2% of the world are idiots, and I think you just it can't be helped. You know.
Yeah, I wouldn't let it put me off. That's something I will never let somebody else's opinion put me off. So, Brad said, even the thumbs down, dislikes on YouTube count as an interaction. That's interesting. I thought that penalised your channel. Maybe not.
No, no, not really. Not unless there are like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. But I like that one. I like Pink's approach. That's really good. All things Pink. Love that. No, I mean, for this word algorithm, we've seen some of the YouTube gurus saying this, and they're so right. You've got to replace the word people, audience, viewers, instead, because really the algorithm isn't trying to please itself. It's feeding what the people want. So if you're tuning into what the people want, and then your videos get pushed out. Now, how it can tell it's what the people want is to do with subscribers, not so much, but views, watch hours, interactions like comments. So people commenting, even if they just put a little heart or a like or or whatever. But I think even the dislikes, I mean, the worst I've got on any of my videos anyway is about 98.5% likes. But any interaction feeds the algorithm. So the algorithm goes, oh, people are interacting with this, we better show more people this. So yeah, even the not so good interactions fine. Incidentally,
Yeah.
people you hide from your channel, they don't half the time, they don't know they've been hidden because they can still comment, but you can't see it and nobody
And
else
nobody
can.
else can.
They can, and they probably think that they haven't been hidden.
So they can sit there rubbing their little trolly hands, thinking that they've upset you and you're not even
Yeah.
aware of it. I love that.
Don't know, you're irrelevant, go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even that interaction, it's it's an
Yeah.
interaction. So if you get
So much
hundreds of
easier
comments,
to be kind. So much easier to be kind than it is to be
isn't it
cruel as
just
well, isn't
well
it? It's
said, Deb?
much
Yeah,
more comfortable place to be. I think we
yeah.
probably ought to wrap this up. We've actually it's an hour. Nearly an
Have we
hour.
talked about anything that anybody wanted to hear or anything sensible?
Has anybody got any
Just been
questions
chatting.
or anything you would like us to, because we were gonna go down we were gonna talk about menopause and we were gonna talk about all sorts of things that
Do it again if you like.
we were probably gonna talk about before we
Uh,
forgot.
Hi, Louise. Is there any
Yeah.
particular questions anybody's got for us, I suppose?
Hi, Louise. I've got a question for you, Tracy, while we're waiting for people to put
Oh,
their
you're welcome,
questions in.
Louise.
Where did you get your channel name? Mini Scenes
Oh,
GB. Where did that
from
come from?
Mark. It was Mark's idea. This goes way back to I was helping my dad build his model railway because he could do all the wiring, and it turned out he couldn't make mountains and paint clouds and stuff. So I did all that bit and learned how to do it, and then promptly started making little dioramas, so little ones like this sort of size with little models of cars in it. And we were doing an awful lot of classic mini shows at that point. So a lot of these little dioramas had little cars in, because my friends were saying, "Oh, could you make me one?" Eventually, it got to the point where I was having a trade stand at events, and so Mark came up with the name Mini Scenes because mini could mean either small scenes or little cars scenes, and it's just kind of stuck. And because I'd already got the kind of the name as an email address and everything else, I've just stuck with it. And I still do some of that sort of thing. I do still do
Mm.
model railway scenery. So yeah, it's about miniature scenes or the classic car connection. Yeah, that's all it was.
There's a lovely comment here from
Oh,
Louise. How lovely is
thanks,
that?
Louise.
Do you know what I think there's is the message in
Bye,
here is,
Brian.
especially for anybody who is, bye, Brian, who is maybe wondering if they do start a channel, what difference is it gonna make to anybody? I think this is the difference, isn't it? You don't know who you're encouraging, you don't know who you're inspiring, you don't know who's watching and taking
You don't.
what you're
I mean,
doing and doing something else with it. And I think so thank you ever so much, Louise. I think that's probably very well deserved. But I do think sometimes we think, oh, what have I got to say? Who's going to want to listen to me?
well, this is part of the reason I started that Discord group because I was very, very alone in it at the start. And I'm sure Mark probably, well, hang on, he's loitering out there. I can hear him, so he'll probably confirm this. Oh, look, there's a cup of tea coming.
Oh,
Oh,
your
fantastic.
butler has arrived as well. My butler
Yes.
came earlier with mine.
Yeah. I did ask for wine, but I thought I wasn't going to get that, so I said or tea. So tea has arrived. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, he probably thought it was another one of their harebrained schemes, and because I go from fad to fad. But I think he's now. I mean, Mark's realised now actually this is getting a bit serious. But yeah, I was quite alone when I started it because the thing is, when you're young and you do YouTube, everybody goes, "Oh yeah," because it's quite normal, and probably all their mates are doing it or watching it or having a go at doing a channel, and they instinctively film everything they do. But I didn't really know anybody, particularly in my age, who was doing it. So I
So,
set up this Discord group that many of the people in our chat here are in. In fact, Julia's one of the moderators on it for me. Just to be somewhere where we could all hang out and give each other moral support and show each other things and say, yeah, we'll sort the link out for you. I'll send it to Bev so you can pass it on, all things pink. I think that
so
might be
is
the
your
easiest, mightn't it?
Your Discord isn't your membership? That's a separate
No,
community.
it's a separate thing altogether. No, Discord is entirely separate and it's free. And I have invited to it because it's not my group, it's our group. I've invited to it a bunch of other people who are new to setting up a channel or are thinking about it. Julia's a classic example. She's got a channel and there's nothing in it, is there yet, Julia? She's still getting there to taking the leap. But we can all, so we're all in that same sort of position. I think I'm probably one of the more experienced on there, and I'm less than 2 years in. We're working on the basis that none of us know everything. In fact, most of us don't know a lot, but between us, we know a lot. And we can all help each other. And if somebody's having a bad day, we can be moral support. And you know, it's just meaning that people aren't on their own and have got somewhere to go for help, or get a bit of feedback on a video, or what do you think of this thumbnail, and things like that.
Your choice of
And that's
Discord
why I
is an
think it's
interesting one, because I always think of Discord as being quite a younger person's platform.
It's because it comes from gaming originally.
Mm,
It's and that's how I came across it. A lot of gamers use it for communicating, but it's actually very clever. It can do a multitude of other things as well as just be chat, but that's all we use it for. We've
yeah.
got chat, and then we've got like a general chat, and then we've got a thread for particular topics, including one where we all share our channel links so everybody can find it easy to go and all subscribe to each other, and one where we say, if we've got a collaboration event going on with a lot of the crafters all producing videos on the same topic, got a thread for that, and so on. So we've got, you know, and a tech help, and a how do you do YouTube help thread to keep it all
Brilliant.
organised.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I well, did I join? I think I might have got
I think
an
you did,
invite.
yeah. You'll be
I think I
you'll be
might have done.
you'll be one of only 2 non-crafters in the group.
I will, yeah.
My
Well,
son
yet,
isn't either, but
yet.
he helps me with stuff in the background too. But
I was chatting to
yeah,
a friend today who's a crafter, and I was saying I've got a sewing machine in the loft that I bought 4 years ago. I haven't actually got it out of the box and figured out how to thread it yet. So she's going to help me with that. So I don't know. I mean, I
your
don't know about
shelf
the
over
sort of the
there.
whole craft thing, but I used to do a lot of sort of knitting and dressmaking and that sort of thing. I am going to give a little plug for my community if anybody is interested.
Oh yes,
I have a
go
Facebook
join.
community that is very new. It's a teeny tiny community at the minute. I think I started it 3 weeks ago, was it? And we're heading towards the 100 members. I think we're about 70 or something at the minute. And it's basically for it is only for the women. I'm so sorry if we've got gents still in the chat. It is just for the women. And it's just for Gen Xers and late boomers who basically might want a community of, well, I call them mad women, menopausal women. It's probably very un-PC, but for those that may or may not be just a little bit neurospicy, because I have ADHD, as you can probably tell by the way my brain goes all over the place. But it's already for such a small Facebook group. We've also already got some good interaction in there and some nice nice community building. And I would love to build it up.
I do recommend it. Knowing what you lot are like and how you like the whole community thing that we're building in our Discord group, I'm pretty sure you'll like Bev's group as well, the Generation Exceptional group. Community of old farts, sign me up.
Old farts were on a mission. They were old farts on a mission to live a good life. And I'll take you up on that. Learn to sew. You learn to edit. Okay. I bet you'll learn to edit quicker than I can learn to sew. That's for sure.
I feel a collaboration video coming on there.
I love that community. I'm going to show that. So when we, because I don't think when this goes as a replay, you can see the comments, can you? I don't think people get to see the comments. So I'm going to, old farts welcomed in Generation Exceptional. I just, do you know what? Let's just, before we wrap it up, I've got a question for you that I normally ask people on my podcast, and if anybody's interested, I have a podcast called Generation Exceptional, but I'm going to ask it here. What do you think makes Gen X exceptional? I didn't warn you about this one, sorry.
Is this a question to everybody or to me?
Well, let's make it to everybody, but I want to hear you talking because we can't hear the others.
I think because we've gone past caring about things that don't matter and only care about things that do. Would that be fair?
Do you think that's because of an age thing? So it's where Gen X is obviously because we are a certain age, or is that specific to Gen X as a generation? Do you think we've always been
as a generation? I think there's some things that I hear youngsters, they're all convinced that we broke the world, and I look back and I think, but we were the ones that had milk bottles that were all recycled. We were the ones that had electric milk floats. We were the ones that if you took a bottle back to the shop, you got a penny back for it or whatever.
We were the ones that got underneath the car and repaired it rather than just scrapping it and getting a new one.
Yes, and so on. So, you know, I think there's a lot to be said for our generation. We've got a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, and we've also been around long enough to know what actually really matters. And that, you know, and I think that counts for a lot.
Mm.
You know,
Deb's saying because of the history we've seen, particularly in terms of tech. That always amazes me, really, that we worry about the tech, yet we were the generation, really, that created it. You know, we didn't have it in our formative years, but we created it. We started it, and we've grown sort of. It's grown with us. Although I have to say, my 9-year-old granddaughter is damn sight. She's learning to edit on InShot already, and she comes up with these brilliant things. She's not scared to try it. So what else have we got? I think this is such an interesting question. It's all moving up a bit quick now.
I think, you know what, I think life, this might sound a bit deep, life is a bit like, you know, when you start a job, and you often find that the best senior management are the ones who started at ground level and learned and worked their way up rather than come straight in at the top. And maybe life's like that. We've been through that learning curve. We've gone through all those steps. We've kind of been there, seen it, done it. Not just the theory or seen it written in a book. We've done it, you know. And I think it's a bit like that senior management who's worked their way up and really knows the business and knows the job.
Yeah.
We're like that with our lives.
I do think it's interesting that they call us the lost generation, don't they? The generation that was kind of hidden between the boomers and the millennials, and it's like we're always seen as sort of stoic and resilient, but not very adventurous. And I don't know whether that's strictly true, but it's interesting.
Is that why we all go crazy when we get to about 50?
Yeah, I think that's menopause.
Daft things could be. Start doing daft things like starting YouTube channels.
Yeah, Louise is saying we've survived being wife, mum, and now we can just be me again, but with all the wisdom gained. Yeah, do you know what? Let's all channel our inner witch. I love the idea of what the witches were all like the wise women, weren't they? But they were so worrying to everybody else because they were just a bit of an entity into themselves. Let's all be witches together. I like it.
My great gran was a white witch. She used to charm warts off and make love potions for the girls and things. So she was known locally as a white witch. And Mark's niece thinks she's a witch. Oh, she's a witch.
Party lines. Near perfect resin. Party lines.
Party
yes, I
lines.
do. Yes. And you used to pick it up, and if you did it really quietly, you could listen in on your party lines conversations.
Yeah.
God, yeah, I do remember party lines. What else have we got? We still know how to mend our clothes, and we can cook. God, yes. Actually, to be fair, my mum was the worst cook out there. She made the most horrific food. I can cook, but I didn't learn it from my mother.
My mum's a reasonable cook, but I can't cook, don't want to cook, no interest in cooking. It was part of my bloke recruitment criteria was that I needed a bloke that could cook, and he can.
Yeah. Actually, mine's learned in the last 5 years since he left the Air Force, and we do more things. Kind of, we don't have quite so much, so many clear like that's your role, this is mine, because we're now both working for ourselves. It kind of merges into one. So he does a lot more of the cooking. Judah said we were the ones that drank from water hoses when our parents locked the doors on us. Latchkey kids. Did you have your key hanging on a string at the back of the letterbox? We did. Maybe that was just us.
I've just seen the latest comment, Deb. Too much information, Deb.
Right, I'm still working through. You're ahead of me on the comments.
We'll know when Bev gets to Deb's comment. Yeah, it's the bit where Bev falls off her seat.
You know what? I haven't got there yet. I will get there in a minute.
You're nearly there. Brace yourself.
I lost both my parents in my 20s, and I remember having a conversation not that long ago with Mark, and it stopped me in my tracks because I realised that just about everything I'd said, my mum wouldn't have had a clue what I was talking about, because in 1988, when she died, none of those things existed. I think I was talking about logging on and hotspotting my phone or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but the whole conversation was like, nobody would have understood that 30 years ago because none of it existed. Let's have a look. I was
the next
very adventurous. I have lived.
Go on, Adair, put the next one up.
Do it.
Put the next one up on the screen.
It's not. It's not. Oh,
That's
it is
the one.
showing. Travel the world alone. I've absolutely zero regrets, but a very active sex life. Good. Why not?
Well done, Deb.
Yeah.
Good on you, girl.
The thing is, though, the Gen Xers, we didn't really. We were on the back end of those swinging 60s, weren't we? I was born in 66, so I kind of feel as if the generation before me had a hell of a lot more fun. We had like miners' strikes and power cuts. They had,
and where I live, all the guys at the Austin going on strike. Red Robbo and all that.
Deb's laughing so hard she's crying. Right, well, we might as well end on a high. And
thanks for that one, Deb. You've made my day.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us and joining in the chat. Tracey, I knew we wouldn't have any problem finding things to talk about.
We can talk rubbish for hours.
We lived through AIDS, actually. Do you know what? When I think back, the 80s was challenging, wasn't it? It was a challenging decade.
I loved the 80s. I was at the school that I didn't get bullied at and did well at. I took up the one and only sport that I discovered I could actually do because I'm rubbish at sports. I loved the 80s and the best music, of course.
Oh, definitely. No, I couldn't disagree more. Definitely the 70s, glam rock and punk rock. That was my thing.
Oh, punk, yes, but not the glam rock and all that. It's a bit.
Oh no, I love the old.
I went to school with one of Duran Duran.
Bit of T-Rex. No, never really did it. I did. Actually, Sting's brother was our milkman for a little while.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I went to school with John Taylor from Duran Duran, but I didn't really know him because he's about 5 years older than me, so he must have been in the upper six just as I was starting. So
name dropping left, right, and centre.
So
maybe this is a conversation for another time when we dig into favourite memories from the 80s. I don't remember the 90s. I was too busy having kids, and they just kind of flew by, to be honest.
I just bypassed the having kids bit. Just stuck with guinea pigs and cars.
Louise was a punk in her 20s, complete with spiked hair. I remember having my hair black, and I was told I looked like Mark Armand, which was a little, I don't think it was meant to be a compliment. And I had these big bright red feather earrings that I used to wear. They were about this big, and they used to tickle my collarbones. But that's what we should do as well.
I did the big floppy fringe thing. Still got one, actually.
Yeah. We should do that. We should do a compilation of all our photographs from when we were when the teens in the 80s. That would be hilariously embarrassing. Right, enough. We're going to leave it there, I think. Thanks again for joining us,
my second cup of tea. It's been.
You haven't got your YouTube mug.
No, it's because Mark brought me this one. This is one that I did a guinea pig with my cricket.
Mine's pretty boring in comparison. Mine just, I don't know if you can see that, mine just says strong. I have another one that says fierce on it. It's just to remind me sometimes, we can do hard things. Yours reminds you of, actually, guinea pig was my nickname when I was a kid at school. Apparently when I laugh, I do that. I didn't know, but apparently I do.
I've always thought I must have been a guinea pig in a previous life. Because I'm short and fat and I don't make a lot of sense and make a lot of noise. That's pretty much a guinea pig, isn't it?
Right. On that note, we are going to go. Thanks ever so much for joining us, everyone. Talk again soon.
Bye, everyone. I've got a premiere at 9, so I'll see you for that. Well, no, it's not a premiere. It's a video. I'll see you later.
Take care, everyone. Bye.